Okay.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Co-Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board and the municipal website. Take roll call. Councilwoman Donovan?
Here.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Here.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Here.
Councilman de Blasio?
Here.
Councilman Maroney?
Here.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our troops, their families, first responders, and also Carol Lawrence. Thank you. Now, Councilwoman Kinney, Council President Kinney is going to read a proclamation on behalf of Pride Month.
Okay, proclamation recognizing June 2026 as Pride Month. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar recognizes and proclaims the month of June 2026 as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ Pride Month throughout the Borough of Belmar. Whereas the Borough of Belmar joins the County of Monmouth to observe Pride Month with Pride flag raising ceremony to honor the history of the LGBTQ liberation movement and to support the rights of all citizens to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And whereas the rainbow flag is widely recognized as a symbol of pride, inclusion, and support for social movements that advocate for LGBTQ plus people in society, and whereas all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, LGBTQ plus individuals have an immeasurable impact to the cultural, civic, and economic successes of our country. And whereas the Borough of Belmar is committed to support visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQ people in our diverse community, while society at large increasingly supports LGBTQ plus equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas this nation was founded on the principle that every individual has infinite dignity and worth, and the Mayor and Council call upon the people of Belmar to embrace this principle and work to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists. Whereas the celebration Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for Monmouth County's LGBTQ plus community, and is an opportunity to take action and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. Now therefore be it resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar hereby proclaims the month of June 2026 as Pride Month in support of the LGBTQ plus community. Be it further resolved that the rainbow flag will be raised during the month of June, recognizing all LGBTQ plus residents whose influential and lasting contributions to our neighborhoods make the Borough of Belmar a vibrant community in which to live, work, and visit. June 9th, 2026.
Thank you. Let's move on to a workshop discussion. Are there any workshop issues?
Just want to give an update. Last week we heard a presentation from our LSRP on the 12th Avenue project, and there were a lot of questions from council, some public comment on it. So I did some researching with them this week. The first thing, we found some price adjustments in their bid, because I was questioning some of the construction costs. Their bid did come down to $575,000 versus $770,000, so that's one thing for the council to consider. In addition, I started looking into grants for the DEP. An HDSRP grant is from the DEP, which is for remediation on sites like this. They said we would qualify. I linked them with Millennium. Millennium is working with the DEP right now. Millennium is our grant writer. So we could be eligible. It's an application process. It does take about 6 months, but depending on what, there's a higher percentage in what we can get in a grant if we determine the end use. For example, if we determine it's going to be public service, we could get a 75% construction grant. And this is retroactive, including the money we've already spent. This is now some answers I got from the DEP. It would be 50% if we use affordable housing, or if we decide to not choose end use and just see what happens with the property. With the cleanup, it could be 25%. So this is something that we're continuing to work on. I think it was a pretty important update to give to the public, and that, I understand this was a project that needs to happen in the summer because of the water table, but, the initial cost of it was almost $800,000. It was quite a bit to swallow to give up this year. But if we're going to budget for something like this next year, let's queue in these grants and hopefully get up to 75% funding for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a question, and this might be for Mr. McGill, who's not here, but was there an issue with the contract that would have disqualified us for a lot of grants? With the way we closed the amount of time to do due diligence? I thought there was an issue there that precluded us from qualifying for grants.
I can't answer the question because I don't know what the grant is requiring in terms of the, what happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something to look into. I mean, obviously, our grant consultants will tell us if there's any barriers or any things that we need to get to before they can give us the grant. But I'm sure they'll let us know. And if there is, we can go back and look at that.
Great.
To see what's going on.
Thank you.
But that's a great savings. I mean, if we
Absolutely.
can do that, we've done so many other things with grants, and it would be great to be able to do that also.
Absolutely.
And you did, like you said, it could potentially be retroactive in some of the $300,000 that we have already spent in cleaning up this area.
It's from the DEP itself. Retroactive costs are eligible for reimbursement, but there's no guarantee in funding. So you're more, likely, more likely, and it's a rolling grant funding. So you're more likely to get the current project, but yes, to go back and get the initial $300,000 would be obviously key to, and really reducing the cost on that
That's
overall.
great, good work, Mike, that's great.
I mean, I think in light of that, obviously the council probably should be looking at the use aspect of it, because that will impact on how much money you will get in terms of percentage. So, like you said, if it's a public, it'll be a 75% reimbursement. It's affordable housing, a 50%, and I think you said it was some
25 with no.
25 with
whatever,
nothing. Right.
whatever the future is.
So I mean, that's I guess a future agenda item that you guys can work on to try to, either with the public input or whatever, to try to figure out what the use of that property would best serve the community.
Yeah, being that it's probably a 6-month answer, getting that start, if that is the start, is determining, what end use we want to commit to. Now, the public service it's a broad, it's a broad range of things. It just has to be used municipally. Parking, EMS, two things that pop up. Is that property going to work for that? I don't know. Affordable housing would be, I guess, a way to sell that.
My ideas.
Yeah, great. So everybody's, so anything public comment and council input is key in the next few weeks to get this application started.
Okay. Any other items for workshop?
I have a workshop item. I've been in contact with both some of the administrative staff here in the building and some of the DPW, and it seemed they're both working without a contract right now. They're very concerned about it. We've been paying a labor attorney, by my calculations, somewhere around up to about $20,000 at this point, with no real progress. Not asking for an answer tonight, but what I'm saying is that we might need to reevaluate our relationship with that labor attorney if we're not going to be able to make some progress. The people deserve the contract, and I'd like to see that happen, so that's something we do need to consider moving forward.
Yeah, if I could just make a comment on that. As you know, negotiations for labor contracts are there's two sides. So each side has to be available to be able to have the negotiation. And I think if we look back, and we can tell you this, there hasn't been some negotiations recently because of some delays on the labor side. So the amount of time that it's taking is really something that's a function of how both sides can meet. Okay, obviously the labor attorney doesn't get paid unless he's at a labor session. So I think think we're all in the area where we want to get these things done as quickly as possible. But some of the delay has been mostly due to the labor side. I don't know if Mr. Payne can fill us in. He's been closely involved with that since day one.
Yeah, one of the union reps had some family medical issues and it delayed it a little bit. But we're meeting with both of them tomorrow again. Both scheduled 1 at 10, 1 at 1 tomorrow.
Excellent.
Any other workshop issues? If not, we'll move on to petitions. Do we have any petitions?
Mayor, I did not receive any petitions.
Okay, approval of minutes, May 26 minutes.
Can I have a motion to approve the May 26 minutes?
Motion.
Second?
Okay, Councilman Donovan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney,
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio,
Yes.
Councilman Barone,
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco.
Yes. Okay, reports of council, Councilwoman Donovan.
Thank you, Mayor. The Harbor Commission is supporting efforts to make it a better environment for the residents and the slip holders. It's been really gratifying to work with the group to see exactly what we can do with the time and funding that we have. So we're looking at replacing 2 of the older stumps in the parking lot and addressing IDOC. And I want to just thank our staff over there. They have been absolutely invaluable. The Environmental Commission is looking to do a community survey on noise pollution and leaf blowers, so I will continue to update you on that. And that will go out probably on social and through the Environmental Commission website. The website is also where you should be able to find a copy of our clean community energy plan, and we are still looking for public comments on that. And finally, the Patchwork for Wildlife is seeking yards to evaluate and work. This is a wonderful program that looks for yards that are doing sustainable landscaping practices using so if it's yourself, it's your neighbors, whoever you want, you can nominate someone and they'll be recognized. And that's a program that's in Point Pleasant, Red Bank, here in Belmar, and in Lake Como. And finally, we're wrapping up our Army Corps of Engineer grant. That's a really exciting place to be right now. So when we are completed with that, we will have 3 distinct plans from the Army Corps of Engineer to present to the public, get your input, and decide which way to move forward. And finally, the softball field broke ground today. So we are moving forward with that. It's very, very exciting.
Thank you, guys.
So that will be the big work, which is resizing and putting in the new clay, will be this week. We're really hoping, we're gathering pricing out right now, the dugouts. We're hoping that can start this month as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Council President Kinney.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Recreation, the old-time baseball game is this Saturday, the 13th at 11 a.m. on Memorial Field. The teams are the Monmouth Furnace versus the Hoboken 9. Friday night concert series this week. The Friday night concert is Curbside Pickups. It's a folk orchestra and it starts at 6 p.m. Summer tennis lessons are ending along with the kids running club, so check out the website for when they'll be finishing up. And the Luckenbill Orchestra will be performing every Monday night this summer starting July 6th, and Taylor Pavilion shows start at 7 p.m. Some couple things around the schools. Everybody's wrapping up the school year. Belmar Elementary has their PTO color run this Thursday, June 11th at 3 p.m. at the field. The 8th grade dance is June 17th at 6 p.m. 8th grade graduation is 6 p.m. on the 18th. The last day of school for Belmar Elementary is June 23rd. And St. Rose High School their last day of school was today. They have finals until Monday. So the next couple days, last day of finals and last day of school is Monday. Same with St. Rose Grammar School, last day of school is Monday, June 15th. Shade Tree Commission and Environmental Commission are doing a combined meeting this Thursday, the 11th at 6:30 in the library. All are welcome. And Belmar Elementary School wanted us to know one more thing. They will be doing a summer food service program, which is any child under 18 years old can get free lunches from 11 to 11:30 a.m. this summer from July 6th through August 6th. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Councilman de Blasio.
Okay, thank you. Also, we brought up the AVP tournament. We haven't had a meeting since, and I thought that went well. It wasn't any issue on the borough end. The DPW and the police worked out. It looked like a really nice crowd. Some fun. That was a fun event. The lifeguards are going into Belmar Elementary School tomorrow. One or two lifeguards. I know my niece is one of them, to give some more ocean safety presentation and tips and talk about lifeguarding at the junior guard program. Planning board, we did not have our meeting in between the last two meetings. We do have a meeting scheduled for the 15th at 7 p.m. We will continue looking at the canopy ordinances and other items. We do not have anything on the agenda yet, any presentations. The Harbor Commission is Ms. Donovan already spoke about. Our next meeting is next Tuesday at 6 p.m., the 16th.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Maroney?
Just a reminder that on Thursday, the 18th, the library will be handling their annual Juneteenth celebration at Taylor Pavilion. And the ADA committee will be meeting next week, probably on Wednesday, to set up the anti-bullying campaign that's going to be in conjunction with the Recreation Department.
Okay, thank you. Last night, I attended the library board meeting, and two things to report. If you haven't noticed, the library has been repainted, and there are new front doors, and that kind of completes the renovation of the library. I forget, a number of months ago, they got all new windows, which were quite a project to do, because they wanted to keep it in the same style and place as the original windows. So the library's looking good. The other thing they're starting to think about, and it's a new concept that maybe some of you have heard of or not heard of, but there's a concept called the Library of Things. And it goes, basically, you know how we have a library and it gives out books. Well, there are some libraries who give out things that people might need for a host of different things. For example, you might need a drill, you know, to do some work, and you don't have a drill, and you really don't need to go buy one because you're just going to do this one thing. So you can go to the library and borrow a drill. Or it could be, you know, like a 50-urn coffee pot. You know, you're having a party, and you're not going to go out and buy a 50-urn coffee pot for one party, but if the library has it, you can go in and borrow the grill. Apparently, the Red Bank Public Library has been doing this for a while, and they have a lot of experience in handling this, and it kind of works out, you know, pretty well. Obviously, there are a lot of steps that need to be taken in terms of, you know, making sure that the items that you're giving out are not, you know, hazardous or dangerous or whatever, but and keeping track of who has it, and, you know, if it comes back, if it's damaged, if it's not damaged, and so on. But I think it's a step in the right direction. It could be anything. It could be like games. You know, if you're having a party in your yard and you want to have the beanbag game, you know, and you're not going to go out and buy one, if the library has it, you can borrow it. So they're working on that, and I think it's a great concept, you know, within reason, because many of us don't need to go out and buy things for a one-use or two-use operation or event or something that we're doing. So they're going to be working on that more, and they'll have more detail for us in the future. But it's something that I think would benefit the borough and the residents.
I love that you brought that up, because there was a great article in the New York Times, I think like a year ago about it, and I brought up the Environmental Commission, and it was highlighting one that was in Maine, I want to say. And they had everything from like a KitchenAid mixer, which I just feel bad for the person who's trying not to drop that on their toe. I've seen that crap before. To, you know, like electronic leaf blowers, if you want to try those out, to even lower cost items like board games. I think it's really interesting, especially when you start thinking about just buying and accumulating less stuff. So kudos to the library, I love that.
When I was part of the ADA commission, we had talked about this very thing for things that you might need in your, like, have handicap world, perhaps a walker or crutches or, things that you might need in, for mobility, wheelchair, or, things like that you might need only temporarily. And we were discussing this very idea, so I think this is a great idea. I think our challenge was just, in the library's challenge really is storage, right? So I think that was the only thing that we were really having to.
Am I wrong? Does Bradley have something like this?
I'm not sure if they do. They only mentioned Red Bank, I believe.
Okay.
But there are, I think Red Bank is the only one in Monmouth County. But apparently they're around the country, they have a bunch of these things. And it's really, it's only limited by your imagination.
And storage.
Because, they're envisioning maybe, needing like a 10 by 20 shed to put the things, because there's really no room in the library. But it's in the very, beginning stages of this.
And then I wonder,
So-
would they accept donations?
Well, that's the other thing. It depends on, like, I have a feeling if it's like an electronic thing, I would have to say probably not. Because they want to make sure that the devices work, but if it's like, I don't know, like I have an extra rake or I have an extra, pole thing that can cut branches or whatever, obviously you can see if it works or not. It's not a problem. And I have half my garages like that, so I could probably fill up, half of the 10 by 20.
Probably get a lot of donations
Thing,
from
so-
our members in
But
town.
yeah, I mean, they'll get to the point where I
Residents.
think you'll hear more about it, and I'm sure they'll accept certain things from individuals. Anything else? Oh, okay, let's move on to the public session for the resolutions on the agenda. This will be the public session for all of the resolutions. So if you have a comment you'd like to make, please step up to the mic. I will remind people, there's a comment section, and we limit comments to 5 minutes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to close?
Public,
Yes, this is the public session for the resolutions.
Eugene Creamer, Fourth Avenue. I have a comment or two about resolution 2026-120. This is a resolution to hire a contractor that does a lot of work in Belmar. In fact, I think they have a lot of institutional knowledge. And this is to replace the 60-inch check valve on the Lake Como pipe. And I'm not too familiar with the 60-inch one, but on the A Street pipe, we have a 48-inch one. If my memory serves me correct, with the A Street pipe, we had a 50-year guaranteed warranty on it. And from what I hear, I guess Public Works has said that these don't last that long. So a bit concerned about that. I don't have any problem with the contract here, but this is stormwater. We have a water utility. We have a sewer utility. We don't have a storm water utility. Now that's back to the rain tax. Perhaps we should start working on a storm water utility. The benefits there are the reduction in the water and sewer bill that we get from the municipality. Right now, when we sell somebody a gallon of water, we charge them to dispose of 2 gallons of water. That's all stormwater, one way or the other, that's finding its way into the sewer line. The benefit of a stormwater utility would be moving that over to the tax column and away from the bills that we get every 4 months or so. I guess I would like to see the mayor and council moving forward to see whether they can establish a stormwater utility. I did look up, actually, the city of New Brunswick There are other towns, I heard that Cranford more recently adopted a stormwater utility, and I would ask the mayor and council to, the League of Municipalities supposedly tracks these sort of ordinances that towns are either working on or have adopted. I looked at the New Brunswick primarily because Rutgers is located in New Brunswick, along with Johnson & Johnson and some big companies. But this is where the Brain Trust is located. Rutgers has become the think tank for climate change, and from what I've read so far, it seems to be very comprehensive and may very well be made to suit the borough of Belmar. Other than that, like I said, I have no problem with the contract. It's just that I think that this going forward should be moved over to a stormwater utility. Also, having a stormwater utility would help in perhaps with recovering some of the cost of these maintenance items, like from Spring Lake or Lake Como. If you had a stormwater utility where the watershed leads to Belmar, then you would have the opportunity, some way, one way or the other, to collect money from the other people that are benefiting from it.
I think it's a great idea. Perhaps the council can take a look at that and see if it's something that they may want to recommend for us here in Belmar.
Yeah, I think, by the way, as far as the seniors are concerned, you would perhaps be able to cut the sewage disposal charge by about 50% if we had switched this over so that the people that are already locked into taxes would be a lot more stable than just increasing those costs.
It's definitely something that's worth looking into. Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, can I make one more comment on that?
Sure.
Yeah, this has to do with, 2026-121. This is adopting what's it called?
The New Jersey Energy Program?
Energy.
Yeah.
Now, I've looked all over the place, I can't find a plan.
I have to defer to
I believe it,
our clerk.
I will check right now, but I believe it's also posted on the Belmar Environmental Commission's website.
I did check, and actually I left a comment on the Environmental Commission website, but I could not find a copy of the draft plans or,
But if it's not there, we'll make sure that it shows up there. And we'll let you know at the next meeting.
Can you table the resolution and so the public has an opportunity to take a look at the plan?
yes,
That's up to the council.
I'm looking at it.
It says.
Mr. Mayor, you're right, there's a place for it, but the plan itself is not posted, you're correct. At least on this, is it on the borough website?
I've got it up on my computer here.
We sent us an email.
You know, we're talking about publicly posting it, yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
I believe we should table this, if it wasn't posted.
The only question I have is there any time regarding the, it's a grant, so I don't know if we know that that's time bound or not. I don't know. Yeah, we can,
I'm looking in my mail, because I asked a bunch of questions about that this week.
doing research as we speak.
See, the resolution does say, it was submitted to the borough. It doesn't say anything about, the borough posting it. Actually, it doesn't even mention the environmental commission.
I think it's still in draft form.
Actually, I'm reading this, I don't think the grant is an issue because it says the grant was awarded in the amount of 10,000 to do, I assume, the New Jersey Clean Energy plan.
I can't find the email about it, because I was asking whether or not it needed to be tabled anyway for a different reason. I think we can table it. Let's table it.
Is it, do we have a consensus that we should?
Can I just ask a quick question on that resolution specifically? If we're going to table it, which I agree with, how are we gonna manage that? Is there gonna be a commission like the Harbor Commission or something to make sure that that's being handled properly? That's a lot, there's a whole lot of different moving parts on that program. And being in the energy industry myself, I don't know that it should be left up to just, we shouldn't have a plan to how we're going to implement that.
Well, in general, the Environmental Commission is the one who has worked on it and put together, and they would be working to come up with a plan on how to implement it with, so, and we always, of course, welcome everyone to come and join us, and we welcome your contributions as well.
If we're going to table this, I assume we need a motion to take this out of the consent agenda, and then we can vote to table it.
Yeah, I'll make the
Yeah,
motion.
we can,
Oh, here it is.
That's,
maybe we can do it after finish public session.
Yeah, you could do
okay,
it.
yeah, we'll finish our public session and then we'll do that. Would anyone else like to make a comment on the resolution? If not,
The
let's,
resolution just approves submitting the plan, so this is not,
We can take
Okay.
it if you want, just to make it public or on the website.
Yeah, we'll just put up that as a draft. Sure.
it was presented though publicly, just so that's clear.
Yes.
Right, motion to close the public session.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to, well, let me just clarify before we get into that. Resolutions 117, 118, 119, and then 124, 125, and 126, we pulled out to make a separate consent agenda, so we'll have two. Consent agenda number 1, can I have a motion to amend to remove and table resolution 2026-121?
Motion. Second.
Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
And then can I have a motion to adopt consent agenda number 1 as amended?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
Okay. Next we have consent agenda number 2. That, like, as I said, that was resolutions 117 through 119, and then 124 through 126. Do we have a motion to adopt consent agenda number 2?
Can I ask a question about that before we do this, just to make sure that we're not doing anything incorrect? I had spoken to the borough attorney beforehand. Are we okay to vote on this if there were campaign contributions made, but not in this calendar year?
Yes. That's our interpretation of the ordinance. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, we're good.
Yes. Can I have a motion to adopt consent agenda number 2?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Abstain.
Councilman Barone?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
And then we have 3 more resolutions. First one is Resolution 2026-113, resolution authorizing payment of bills. Do we have a motion to adopt this resolution?
Motion?
Second.
Can I have a comment on this resolution, please?
Yep.
In the bills, we have quite a list from our engineers, RVE. In January, there was discussion on who we were gonna hire and bring in as our consulting engineers. 3 of the 5 of us up here voted no on RVE, and the reason is because we're getting charged $225 an hour for an engineer, or $220 an hour for a project manager, when the competitors were $155 an hour. For that reason, I will not be voting yes on the payment of these bills.
Any other comments?
I would just like to, I appreciate that, and I think that's worth considering, but I also want to point out that when we don't pay our bills, our credit rating suffers. So I think that it's important to pay our bills for that reason. I think we could have a longer discussion about whether or not what we should be doing with our professionals, but I don't think not paying our bills is the way to handle it.
I was actually expecting that specific bill to be brought out and not the list of bills, so I do say I'm not gonna hold back a vote on all bills, but I do contest that, and I know we talked about rates in January. I thought they were gonna be adjusted to meet, and they have not been, so that's why I asked them to be separated.
Just to clear the record, in January, it was determined that the appointments that I made as mayor are 4-year appointments and could not be changed. All right, so that's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is, in general, when you're comparing the services of professionals, you have to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. You know, it's not always that the cheapest is the best, and I think, you know, we would be going down the wrong path if that's the criteria for selecting professionals moving forward. Okay, if we're only going to pick people who have the lowest grades, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself and also to the borough, because there are other factors that go into picking a professional. Now, I know, Mr. de Blasio, you're a contractor, and I'm sure you go through that same process when you're picking subcontractors. I mean, I'm sure you're not going to pick the cheapest electrician if you're suspect, you know, or if you're not, you know, you've heard through the line, well, he doesn't really do the best work, but it passes, but whatever. So I mean, there is a quality aspect to that, and you also have to look at the work that's being done and the expertise. So it's very hard on a professional level to compare. Now, if we were buying automobiles, for example, then I would say, well, then you're right. You know, we're going to go to the firm that gives us the cheapest automobile because they're basically identical. So it's just a point that I'm trying to make moving forward, that, you know, it's more than price that you need to look at. So you know, I understand your objection; it's perfectly fine, right? But just moving forward, I'd like the public to know that, you know, cheaper is not always better.
I live by that because I'm not the cheapest contractor in the world, and I don't negotiate that way. I'm also a professional engineer, so I see the service and I understand it, and the rates are high. And we have 3 competitors who are very well known in Monmouth County and do an excellent job. So it wasn't a cheap, not good engineer or other firm in these other ways. So it was not how I was basing my decision.
Just you're entitled to your opinion, and I respect that. Okay. Can we move forward?
Okay, so we had a motion, a second. Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Okay, next is Resolution 2026-128, resolution authorizing the issuance of a club license to the Belmar Fishing Club. Do we have a motion to offer this resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilman Kinney?
Abstain.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
And last one is Resolution 2026-129, resolution of the Borough of Belmar regarding the position of Borough Administrator. Do we have a motion to offer this resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroni?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
All right, next we have our ordinances. First one is 2026-11, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 25, Uniform Construction Code Fees. Do we have a motion to offer this ordinance for first reading and introduction?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Abstain?
Councilman Maroni?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Okay, and next one is ordinance 2026-12. This is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 29 of the Borough Code entitled Water Sewer Utility Department. Do we have a motion to offer for first reading and introduction?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second, I'd like to have a discussion on this, one question on it.
Sure.
So just to, so I would understand, this is about tapping and retapping your water main. So as I'm getting through this, so it turns out that right now the owner owns your water main all the way to the main in the street. So your water service from the water main to the street, including the curb stop, is resident owned. I guess that has presented a problem for some emergency services in replacing that main and then issuing the homeowners a bill. It's very common as a contractor and up and down the shore that the owners are responsible for that main in the street, all the way to the street. And if you have to redo your main, you have to pay for the road opening, the paving, all the way to your service, all the way to the main, and a new curb stop or water meter pit. So I guess I'd like to know where the conflict is coming from and why we're going back to borough-owned section.
If you bear with me, I want to put up on the screen so the public can understand what we're looking at, the documents that I sent to the council.
Yep.
Because it might be a little confusing to everyone, so I'm going to do this now. Let's hope this works. It's so small. Come on.
You're live.
I know I'm not, but I'm trying to get it. Come on. Okay. This is not what I was looking for. This is, oh, that's good. What I sent to the council was this document. And what we're doing here is I'm comparing the 2003 version of 29-2.4, which is under the applications section of the water utility ordinance. And it talks about, the old ordinance says, the water sewer service taps are to be made by the water sewer utility department where possible, or its authorized agents in every case as per the schedule according to the size of the tap. And I highlighted schedule because I'm going to come back to that later. And then it says, if it is determined by the water sewer superintendent or borough engineer that an outside contractor should be hired, the applicant will be responsible for all charges. And the third part of that ordinance says it is expressly understood that the borough shall be the owner of the service from the city main to the curb line, as well as the curb stops, valves, curb boxes, and roadway boxes, which are to be used by the water sewer utility department for turning on or shutting off the water supply. Okay, that ordinance from 2003 was modified in 2020, and it was modified in a number of ways. One way, in the first paragraph, they changed its authorized agents to a licensed professional plumber, duly licensed in the state of New Jersey. It still refers to as per the schedule. You'll note that the second paragraph of 23 has been taken out. So there's nothing in the new ordinance that says, if the superintendent or engineer says an outside contractor should be hired, the applicant will be responsible for the charges. So that's not in the current ordinance. Then it goes to say that, well, it's understood that the homeowner shall be the owner of the service from the borough to the curb stop and valves, boxes, et cetera, to be used by the water sewer utility for turning on or shutting off the water supply. And then the other part of the ordinance that was changed, it talks about what the homeowner has to do before they can open up a roadway to the curb line, and they have to post a bond. Now, these ordinances were covering a situation where there is not an emergency. In other words, if I'm a homeowner and I want to repair my water line and I want to repair it out to the main, under the old version, it said, obviously I have to get permission to do that, and I might have to hire an outside contractor, and I might have to pay for that, even though the borough owns it. Under the new version, it says that I own it, and and then I have to go through these steps in order to get that fixed, which is fine. Okay. The problem occurs when there's an event that happens, an emergency, when that line between the curb stop and the main breaks. Okay. Now, before I get further, I'm just going to go down to the other. Remember up here it says, as per the schedule. Both versions say that in every case, charges as per the schedule, according to the size of the tap. Well, now if you go down to 29-7, this is the section that talks about rates and service charges. And it clearly says here, services requiring excavations not exceeding 35 linear feet. And this is an ordinance from 2018, and it lists what the charge will be for different diameters of pipe. So a 1-inch pipe on a by 2-minute service, 2,400. On a concrete service, 2,500. 1.5, 2,800. On concrete, 2,900. I'm not going to go through them all because you can certainly read this. So this is an existing part of the ordinance. And then they talk about the sewer mains also. And then they have 29-7-8, which talks about whether or not, what we have to do if it's more than 35 feet. And it tells the homeowner what you have to pay for that. And then there's another 7.10 that talks about excavating and a trenching charge. Okay, so this is the first area of conflict here, because what typically happens when a break occurs is that the borough will send the contractor that we've contracted with to fix a line without contacting the property owner, without providing a proposal to the property owner, without letting the property owner bring their own plumber in to fix it. And it's something that wasn't foreseen when they did the original, when they did the modification, but it causes really a problem for the property owners. Because right now we have two bills that property owners have received for over $20,000 to repair the service line that went from the main to the curb in front of their property. Okay, and a number of things that I found unfair about this. Number one, none of our ordinances state here that the utility has the right to repair my service line. I mean, the borough gave it to me, and now they're saying, well, when it breaks, we're going to fix it, and then we're going to charge you. But nowhere in the ordinances say that they can do that. But being a lawyer, I can argue, well, they have a right to say, well, we don't want the water to be wasted, so we're protecting an asset, so we're going to go and fix it, so we're not leaking water all over the place. So they might have an obligation to repair it, but there's nothing that states that the contractor's bill to repair that the DPW or the utility has hired. Nothing says that I, as a property owner, have to pay that bill. And as I said, we have two property owners with over $20,000 bills. And this could happen to any of us as homeowners. And the third thing is, even if they were to charge us, we have an ordinance, that says that we need to refer to this schedule when something like that happens. And the schedule, 29.7.7, says, as I come down here, it says that, this is what I'm supposed to be charged. If it's a, if it's a 1 inch, $2,400. So why am I being charged the rate of the contractor that did the work? I think we're not being fair to the property owners here, because number one, the borough, since I believe day one, in terms of having a centralized water service, the borough has always owned the lines from the main to the curb. And that is probably the vast number of towns in Monmouth County follow that practice. In fact, if you get the same advertisements that I get in the mail from American Water, and they want to sell you insurance, and they have a little diagram on there, and they typically say, this is the responsibility of the borough, and they have the main going to the curb, and then they say, this is your responsibility, and if that line breaks, you're going to have to pay, and you're going to need insurance. So I think the standard is that the borough owns the line, or the water utility owns the line from the curb to the main. And as I said, that was like that from the initiation of the water service till 2020, okay? Why do I think it was changed? And this is just my own opinion. The pipes are getting older. It's costing the town more money. And this was a neat way to shift the cost of those repairs to property owners, right? Unfairly, in my estimation. And I think that the utility needs to be put back in charge and responsible for those lines. Because number one, they've always been responsible for it. Number two, I don't have a way to control what happens to that line. If I'm on a street where there are trucks going by, like Main Street, my lines are getting more wear and tear than somebody who's living on Inlet Terrace. So when that line breaks, I'm responsible for it. If the town doesn't fix the road there, and there are all kinds of potholes there, and trucks and buses are going by and slamming down on the road, and the line breaks, that's my problem. It's not the borough's problem. So I think the only fair thing here is for the borough to take back the responsibility for the water service lines, and I think this is the way to do it. Obviously this is just the first reading. It will come up, if it's passed, it will come up for a second reading at which the public will have an opportunity to weigh in on this issue. And if it does pass, I urge members of the public to come to the next meeting and voice your opinion. The question is going to arise invariably, well, how much is it going to cost the town to do this? Well, what I say to that, who can bear the cost more? Can the water utility bear it, or can you as a homeowner bear it? Right? Can you afford a $5,000 bill next month, or a $10,000 bill next month because a line broke in the street? I think if you're being honest, the utility is in a better position to absorb those costs than the individual homeowners. So this is my push to get that done. I only have one more meeting left, and I want to finally, this is my final thing to do on behalf of the residents, and I think the council should do what was the practice since before 2020. And so I would urge the council to vote this, and let's get it to the next session, and we'll see if it passes on the second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the timing on this is a little odd, considering we just had such an enormous increase for the water or sewer utility. I'm worried about the water sewer utility. I'm worried about its solvency. And this is a very thorough reading of the ordinance, but it doesn't provide any type of estimate or report on what it could cost the water sewer utility to go forward. It seems like it very well could be the right thing to do, but I don't feel prepared at this point to make this vote without any type of financial report.
I would second that and say the utility was just in trouble. We just heard that from our CFO and raising the rates, and it puts a lot of more weight on the utility to maintain lines. And, you know, even 2 weeks ago, Billy, you were at my house, I was having an issue with my water, right?
Correct.
Sorry, Corey was there, and I said, oh wow, I might have to replace my line, I might have to go all the way into the street. And I called Roy Balzac and said, this is what we might be doing. And it turned out I didn't need a new line, but unfortunately it's an emergency, get the insurance, be protected. It's common in many towns in Monmouth County. So towns I work in, I always have to pay to go to the street and the customer owns it. But anyway, I think it's a long, something to discuss and maybe get some better status of our water utility budget, and then consider this to help the residents.
Well, that's a good point. Does homeowners insurance cover that?
Some do, some don't.
And I guess my other thought was that this is one way that's presented of addressing it. We could also address the rates that we are charging or how we apply them, rather than take that full ownership at this juncture.
I don't think there have been many lines broken in the past. I mean, I don't know, Billy, you know from breaks in the street. I mean, how many would you say a year or
It all depends on the winter. Most of the breaks are in the winter time due to freezing, the ground freezing, but it's all given year, it's up in the air. I couldn't guess off the top of my head. But it would be easy to pull a report
Yeah.
and see what kind of.
I got something from our CFO, and it averaged, since 2019, was zero cost to the homeowners, because there was no, this is for emergencies I'm talking about. And then from going on, it kind of ratcheted up, and it averages about $70,000 a year, I think, that homeowners are paying for these utilities. But I want to make the point, regardless, the water utility, number one, is two things have to be fixed. Number one is, as someone pointed out at one of the meetings, we have meters that are not being fixed and they're not being read properly. And the borough is losing money every quarter because those meters are not being read and utilizing the amount of money, the amount of water that they're using. That just came to my attention, and that is just not acceptable. Okay, the water utility should be going out as a top priority and fixing every meter that is not recording accurately. Okay, I don't care how much money they have to spend on overtime. Anything they spend will come back 10 times in the amount of revenue that we'll get from our water utility. The second thing is, I'm not finished. The second thing is that we have started our project in lining the sewer lines that are going to the sewage authority, and there will be a savings in that. And the last thing is, I think it's a very weak excuse to say that we have to see about the health, the financial health of the water utility. The people sitting out here have a financial stake in things, and when they are given a bill, who are they going to go to pay that bill? Right? When a senior citizen gets a bill for even $5,000 and says, oh, we have to pay that bill, the town has to pay it anyway if they can't pay it, and then we have to go after the person. So we're not really saving anything. We're just pushing off the collection of that debt for that person to some other mechanism. You know, maybe eventually it'll be put on their tax bill, you know, or there'll be a lien put on their property. Okay, but my point of view is that this was never an issue in Belmar, right? It was never an issue. And, you know, and we're gonna face it again too. There's another part of this that's not fair, and that is they just paid Fifth Avenue, correct? All the water lines from the sewer, from the main to the curb were replaced at no cost to the homeowners, okay? How's that? And now we have a lead line project that the state is asking, that the borough has to replace all the lead lines in the town, right? That has to be done by the borough, at a cost to the borough. Okay? We don't know exactly if it's going to be partially reimbursed by the homeowners or not, but right there, a lot of these lines will be replaced over time because the state has mandated that these lead lines have to be fixed. So on the one hand, you're going to have people in the borough getting their lines fixed at no cost, and on the other hand, you're going to have people who happen to be on a street or whatever, or a bad winter, and their service line breaks, and now they're going to have to pay for it. So that's another fairness issue that we have to deal with. Some people are getting it done at no cost, and other people now, in an emergency, have to pay. And I don't mind paying, but I didn't negotiate those rates with the contractor. That was done in a public bid. That was done because our water utility doesn't dig holes anymore. We have a contractor that does that. If we were like the old days, 3 or 4 guys from the water utility would come out with a backhoe and a jackhammer, and they would dig up the line and fix it themselves. But no, we went to a contract now, and we have to pay that contractor's rates. And those rates are being forced on you as a property owner without any way of saying, I think that's too high, or let me get my own guy in to do this, all right? So, that's my view. And, to take it one step further, if I own the line and I don't want to use that person, then the borough should be able to shut off my water until I get 3 quotes from plumbers that I want to use. Right? But no, they won't, because they say, well, it's leaking. Well, you know what? Put a valve in and shut my water off. Maybe I don't want to fix it this week. Maybe I don't want to fix it this month. Maybe I'm going on vacation for 6 months, and I don't care if there's water in my house. Just shut it off, and I'll fix it when I come back. But we don't have that option, because what happens is as soon as it leaks, the contractor's called, it gets fixed, and we get the bill. And that's it. So I think I belabored this as much as I possibly can. I think it's, if the council doesn't pass it, the council doesn't pass it. But I have to try as a final step to do something else for the members of the public that I think is grossly unfair, and I think it needs to be remedied. I think, it's something that is a positive for the residents, and I think it's a shame if we can't do that and fix this problem.
Regarding the meters, I did have meetings with our DPW after that first person came up and said about commenting about meters. We are checking meters. They are reading meters every quarter. And if the meter cannot be read, they are knocking on doors. So you made a statement that almost sounds like our DPW is not doing their job about reading meters, and I think that was unfair. So I just want to put out there that we are working on everything we can uncover with meters that are not working or not being read properly, and we are proactive on that. We're not sitting and waiting on meters that are not being read. Nothing yet. That's all I have to comment.
Billy, how many meters are not operating correctly? The last list I looked at was 500.
I don't believe it's that high. I believe it's in the mid-200s.
200. There you go. 200 meters that are not being read properly. And it's probably 300. We did a report, we have it, and it's just been allowed to lag on, all right? And, it's something that should be zero, to be perfectly honest with you. It should be zero. But, things happen, maybe 10, 50, or whatever. But, we can't use that as an excuse. I'm not saying that DPW is not doing a good job, but there are priorities that have to be done. And when you're in a situation where you have a unit or a utility that can bring in revenue, that should be the top priority, okay? That should be the top priority. Ask for overtime. you know, and say, we'll go out and do this on overtime, because the overtime that we pay will come back tenfold with the correct amount of water usage. Because the other problem is, once they're fixed, then the homeowner gets a bill for like $3,000. And they're like, oh, I didn't know I used all this water. Well, yeah, you know, and it's technically the water meter's not broken. It's the electronic piece that's on the top that reads the meter. Because those little dials are still going on every time you use the water. It's just that nobody's, you know, gotten down into the meter, taken the electronic thing off, and looked at the meter and said, oh yeah, these are the numbers. And we don't do that until after we fix it. And then we send you a bill for an enormous amount of money, saying, oh, you used this money, you used this while the meter was broken. So there's a lot that needs to be fixed. And I only say that because I think there's revenue sitting there that can be utilized, and it's a fair thing to do. So I guess we need to take a vote.
Yes. Councilman Donovan?
Can we vote to table this?
I won't agree to table it, no. Why would we table it? What's the reason?
Because we could bring it.
Because you don't want to vote no?
Excuse me, Mayor.
Why do you want to table it?
Because I would like time to review it and then vote on it another time.
I'm against tabling it.
Okay.
No.
Councilman Kinney?
I'm gonna vote yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
No.
Councilman Maroney?
No.
Mayor McFusco?
Yes.
Okay. Next we have the public session. If anyone would like to make a comment, please remember to state your name and address first.
Suzanne Annan, Fifth Avenue. I have to talk about this with, again, going back to water that you just wanted to not table. Because I live across the street from you, and I had to replace my line, and I had to pay $5,000. And when you paved the street, in 24 years, I had no problem with my sewer line, and then all of a sudden it was backed up. I had to pay another $1,000. You may remember, Mr. Kane, because I was asking, can the town split it with me? I went through so many emails and no one got back to me. And you're right, I don't have to be a senior citizen, but I could have 2 kids in college, and $5,000 is a lot of money. $1,000 is a lot of money. So if you don't have a solution for this, you should be suggesting for people to get the insurance for the American Water. And I will tell you why. I have it for my father, who's 94 years old. They encourage it in the senior citizen building in Saraville. And guess what? Guess how much it is? It's about $15 a month. His water line broke, and they paid for it. American Water. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Not on water.
No, this is an open,
It's not about water.
open comments.
Hi,
Hi.
Amy and Adam Mednick, 1703 River Road. We're back to talk about River Road safety. If anybody drove past 35, you saw that my house doesn't have a hole in it anymore. Oh, thank you.
Actually looking really nice, your house.
Thank you.
I look at it all the time now.
Thank you.
I'm missing the 1703 on plywood though, I keep driving right past it.
I know. I should have saved that. So what we actually did is we went and had a discussion with the DOT. They were actually great. We got through with Assemblyman Keene's office. Kate, his Joint Chief of Staff was great. So she set up a meeting, and it was a Zoom meeting, nothing big. But they did give us the next step here, which goes to the borough. So what they say has to happen is you guys, through the borough, the council people, you guys would submit to the DOT a request for a safety inspection, where they would do like a speed inspection, safety, pedestrians, paving, re-signing, lining, those kinds of things. The DOT was nice enough to send us sample verbiage, and we took it upon ourselves to write you all a lovely letter. If you would like to use it, it is all written there for you. And we can submit it to the mayor for sure. It does have to be signed by him. If you look at this signature on the back, it does say mayor. So it does have to come from the borough. So we are here respectfully asking that you would submit this on behalf of the residents on River Road and 35.
Absolutely. You can give it to Business Administrator Kane and we'll take a look at it and I'll sign it.
Perfect.
Great work, Amy.
Thank you.
I know that takes a lot to get through all that. I have a couple questions though, real fast, if you could.
Yep.
Now, is this like a long-term study? Is it something that happens for several weeks, or do they give you an idea about?
They didn't. So I'm not sure what it would look like. So, hopefully when you guys submit, they'll get back to you and say, hey, we can definitely do this. I mean, we definitely want the survey, but at this point, we'd be happy if, again, we talk to the police, I think they have to, you guys have to petition the DOT also, just to get like a speed sign, like this is your speed, restrict your speed. Of course, we would love to get, more police on 35. Because, summer traffic already started, it's crazy, people are speeding, the noise is crazy, there's definitely more people walking on the street. So, and again, we say, we still walk every morning, and it's dark. We have also spoken to JCP&L. DOT put in a request on our behalf to have those lights that we specified are still out. So of course their answer is, well, underground wires, things are old, blah, blah, blah. So it's only been like a couple of weeks and I'm ready to go back to JCP&L. My husband's like, give them time, give them time, give them time.
No, we love that you are on this, honestly.
Listen, I'm on top of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because I do know, isn't the railroad crossing also DOT, and we've been waiting for how long for, be patient, be vigilant, they don't move fast.
Yeah, I know. And
So this is a great start, but I hate that they just take so long.
So long, and we would just hate to see, we already saw a tragedy on Monday, Memorial Day, Like, we don't need to see that again. It's crazy.
If, anyone up here would love to join any Zoom calls you get on DMT, so send an email to us. Hey, can anyone jump on this? This is the date, and I'm sure someone would, it would help if we get on another call back with DMT. So just always reach out, please.
Absolutely. I attach my business card, so whoever forward, obviously it's gonna be the mayor, so if somebody could just email me, I left my card, my email, my cell phone. If somebody could just let us know, hey, we submitted it, and then maybe in a couple of weeks, obviously, we will follow up with the DOT, and then if we can schedule another meeting, we'll get as many council people on as possible. That would be great.
Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Linda Sharkis, 4th Ave. I want to thank the council for all the hard work you guys go through. But you're all working. And I look at this, that we're in need of a solution. And I'd like to propose, since here tonight we talked about 3 different issues that require studies. The 12th Avenue building, the storm utility, and the water utility, that we set up something similar to Rutgers, essentially a brain trust, talent trust, and we have it be composed of residents in town, because we have such a wealth of knowledge that's being underutilized, and we can make it nonpartisan, so it would sustain the test of time when we transition from one administration to the next. Because as a long-term resident, I'm tired of hearing it's not invented here. So if we had studies going on with people from the borough, they'd be able to share that knowledge year after year until death do they part. But I think it would solve a lot of problems and help, because you guys all have a lot of important jobs. And I just don't see how they could possibly do all these studies that we've talked about just here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely look into it.
Thank you, Mayor. Sandy Caputo, Surf Avenue. I'm going to talk about beach safety. And I've talked about this in public session in front of Mayors Dowdy, Mayor McGovern, and Mayor Walsifer. And I didn't want you to leave office without having to hear it from me.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm sorry you had to wait this long.
Well, me too.
Football playing on the beach, on a crowded beach, is dangerous. It's not just the football that can hit someone. It's the 200-pound guy running, not watching where he's going. That could trample, that could trample an old woman with osteoporosis sitting on the beach. And I gotta tell you, that's me. Howard Brolin did not allow football playing on the beach, ever. Anyone that was on this beach 30, 40 years ago, there were no footballs flying. And we have an ordinance against it also. It's still on the books. I'm asking all of you to go to one of our crowded beaches on the weekend. 9th, 10th, 16th, 18th, and watch this for a while. And you can see it. And see for yourself if you think the rules have to change. Lifeguards used to enforce this, but the rules it's just been slipping away. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's something we can bring up with the chief in terms of the, guys that, gals that are patrolling up there to kind of maintain. We don't want the lifeguards doing that. They're focused on looking at the water. But we'll definitely take your suggestion and look into that.
My name is Jim Whalen from Marina Court. I'd like to talk about the skate park, if I may. I guess all you guys are for the skate park, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, can I say this? We had a skate park and went to disrepair. Just like we had pickleball courts. 5 years ago, the #1 spot in southern Monmouth County to play pickleball was McCleary Park. Since then, Lake Como, Spring Lake Heights, Spring Lake, Wall, Neptune have all built new pickleball courts. We have done absolutely nothing. And the pickleball courts, which were once #1, are in total disrepair. No replacing them anymore. We have basketball courts over there. Used to be the pride of Belmar. Used to be the Summer League, if anybody can remember the Summer League playing there. It was big-time basketball courts. They've all fell into disrepair. We had a skate park. That fell into disrepair. We're not maintaining what we have. We have a water tower. This is the third time I've been here about the water tower. The water tower is an absolute disgrace. And nobody does anything. We don't maintain what we have. Why are we spending $1 million to get something new? Why don't we start maintaining what we have? Skate park. Kids don't even use skate parks anymore. Why is it, let me ask you this. Well, let me ask you this. Why is it that Lake Como and all these other towns are building pickleball courts, which is the fastest growing sport in the United States, and nobody else is building a skate park? Why don't we have pickleball courts? We used to be #1 in southern Monmouth County for pickleball. Now we're #0 because we have 3 courts that are unusable. It's a disgrace. And now you want to build. Let me ask you this. We have 6,000 residents. How many of those 6,000 residents, answer this honestly, are going to use that skate park when it's built? Tell me.
We don't ask questions directly to the council people. You can ask me.
All right, Mayor.
The thing I want to point out, I'm not going to answer your question, but I'm going to point out to you that the skate park is being funded through donations. There's not one penny of.
No grant money?
No.
Well, we're looking for grant money.
We're looking for grant money.
No.
If you get the grant money, why don't you paint the water tower?
Well, let me address that too, because you say nothing's being done. We did a comprehensive water utility capital plan. And in that capital plan, there are a number of things that are planned to be done. And one of those things is the painting of the water tower. Okay, so there are things being done.
When is that going to happen?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I want you to know that painting of that water tower is probably gonna cost over $1 million because of the repairs and everything else.
I agree, and next year it's gonna cost more than $1 million.
Well, we have to plan, we don't have,
I've been living across the street from that water tower for 10 years. The day I moved in, I looked at it, I said, this is a disgrace. That was 10 years ago. Since then, people have come, rang my bell running for town council. And I always said, here's my #1 issue. And everyone said, oh, we're gonna.
the issue is there are things being done that you don't see.
Okay.
Like there are pumps that have to.
I don't see the water tower. There's a lot being done that I don't see. But I would say the demand for a skate park is on such a low priority in this town. We got, I could name you 15 things that should be done before we build a skate park. If all those 15, if we paint the water tower, if we fix the pickleball, if we,
So I just wanted to tell you, I don't mean to interrupt, but the basketball courts are going to be completed when,
We're supposed to
in
be
June.
going on this week.
Because we have a league that's coming in to play. So that is being done.
okay, but
Correct me if I'm wrong, aren't the pickleball courts relatively new? We took a tennis court away to make 3 pickleball courts.
yeah, you
Yeah,
paved over.
how long ago was that?
You paved over the tennis courts.
Okay.
And now it's all coming up because it was done on the cheap.
You know, I always say,
Meanwhile, I'm speaking to you like you said to
Go
him.
ahead.
So, if you go to Lake Como, it's a real tiny community. They're beautiful, beautiful pickleball courts. Spring Lake has beautiful pickleball courts. Wall has beautiful, every town around here. Pickleball, come on, it's the fastest growing sport in this business. 5 years ago, if you went to McCleary Park at 8 a.m., there would be, and I'll bet you this number is correct, 60 people playing open pickleball. Where are the 60 skateboarders going to be?
There are well more than 60.
Yeah, well, I don't believe it.
Wow.
I don't believe it. And I'm curious as to who's behind this skateboard. I know there's a couple of skateboard.
Well, I'm the liaison to that committee, and I can tell you there are a lot of passionate people about
I'll
skating.
tell you what I'll do. How about you and I, we go and ring bells in Belmar at random, 50 houses. And we ask them, do we want a skateboard park or do we want to fix some of the stuff that's broken? And if you are correct, which maybe you will be, but I don't think so. But if you're correct, then I'll go away.
I don't think we're getting anywhere.
Just like pickleball.
I know we're not getting anywhere because I've been here
So
before.
your
With
point
the same
is,
issues.
your points are very well
Yeah,
taken.
I've heard that before.
They are.
You said that the last time I was here.
Right.
That my
But
points are very well
you
taken.
have to-
But nothing happens. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
If I can say something, I will. If not, if you want to keep talking, that's fine.
Well, all I'm saying is, before we go out and build new projects, spend $1 million, okay? And plus, let me ask you this, what does that say we do build the skate park? What about the increased liability on the town? Who's gonna pay for that?
Did you hear me say before that the town is not building the skate park?
Yeah, did you hear me ask, what about the liability after the skate
That
park?
all has to be done through whoever's operating the
Oh,
skate
yeah,
park.
we'll see about that.
You either can believe me or you don't believe me.
Well, I don't believe you, because the last time I was here, you told me you were gonna paint the water tower.
I just told you, it's on the schedule.
That's what you told me last time, but nothing gets done. Nothing
Because the
gets done.
schedule goes years.
You don't have to tell me, I look at it every day.
You know how much, we have the capital plan for the water utilities, how many millions dollars? Off the
Let
top
me
of
ask
your
you
head?
this.
20 million, 25 million?
Let me ask you one question before I go.
Excuse me, I'm trying to be polite, so can you let me talk, and then you talk? And I talk, and you talk, okay? All right, so now I'm talking.
Okay, good.
Okay, now Jim's gonna talk, okay?
So we planned out a 10-year plan of water main replacements, addressing pump replacements, water tower painting, lead service line replacements, over a 10-year period. That's more than $20 million.
Okay, so the town is not able to do everything in 1 year, because we cannot raise $20 million to do it all. If we could, it would be done. Okay, so that's the answer to your question. Everything is on a schedule to be done. Right? The more you want it done quicker, then we have to borrow more money, and it's going to cost us more money, and that's not what the taxpayers want.
Okay. All I know is this, if if you look around, other towns, they don't have a water tower that looks like ours. They don't have pickleball courts that look like ours. They don't have basketball courts that look like ours. The DPW on 13th Avenue, it's an eyesore. Can we get a grant and replace the windows? I mean, this town, when you compare it to all the surrounding towns, is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Well, just look at the water tower.
Okay, you're almost at your 5 minutes.
Sure it is.
Okay?
Good luck to you.
Okay? Thank you so much for your comments. Anyone else?
Sorry, taking down the chair. Hi, Maria Rondinaro, 1246 Pine Tree Way. Go skate park. I'm excited for the skate park. I know that Councilwoman Kinney has worked hard, as have many of our Belmar and local residents in that initiative. I also want to thank the borough so much for replacing the sign, the electric sign at the marina at 35. It looks so vivid. You can read the advertisements. It's going to be great for our local businesses and to get out the word of what's going on in Belmar. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership on the library board. The library looks amazing. And the facade now has its, its shell, its membrane, if you will, all nice and protected. We know with the Belmar Housing Authority that the facade has become quite an emergency, and it's very costly to fix once it is broken. So thank you for that. I want to thank Councilwoman Caitlin Donovan for her groundbreaking with this softball field that our youth are going to use for years and years to come. And I just want to thank you all for your hard work in making sure that we're able to get things done and improved in Belmar, because I see the improvements and I know how hard it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Angela Pfeiffer, Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
I'm going to save my pickleball comment to the end, so personal, because I'm going to do comments about that. The grant money that you spoke about for 12th Avenue, is that a matching grant?
No, those were, well, we were applying for them, but they were not matching.
Great, so that would be money that we would not have to match. And also, you mentioned that depending on the use of the property, I've been out of the loop for a while, so I'm not, do we know what we're doing with that property? No.
No, we don't.
When we bought the property, did we know what we were gonna do with it?
The property was originally slated to be used for the EMS/fire/ whatever else could be fit in there. But the two main things were the EMS and the fire.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Is that off the table?
Well, nothing is planned at this point.
Nothing's off the table.
Nothing's off the table.
So we don't know. Okay.
If it were up to me, I would build another library there and have a nice conference room and a senior center and all that stuff, but it's not up to me.
The
So
priority is
I
to
figured I
clear.
would just put that in.
No, I get that, and if we can get grant money that's not matching, that's amazing.
Well, there's always expenses, so let us not forget with grants, because there's engineering things that have to be done, so grants are not totally free, but it's always best if we don't have to match.
I'll point
You're
out,
right.
that I think this is an issue that gets charged really quickly, people have strong opinions about 12th Avenue. But what is obvious is that the circumstances under which it were bought are different than they are now, because we have fewer towns in our EMS, for instance. Union Fire Station is now available for use as well. So I think quite possibly the best path forward is to have some type of town hall or a conversation where we're putting all ideas on the table and then going forward thoughtfully.
Right, that's why I was wondering if it was still a possibility. And then just quickly on pickleball, I am a pickleball player, okay? We played every day in Belmar. We were there, okay? There are over 300 people on our Belmar Team Reach site. And Mayor, we sat down. I mean, I have a petition with hundreds of signatures that we're just kind of sitting with. We're willing to put time in, we're willing to put money in. Those lines that were painted on the other tennis court, we paid for the paint, we did it ourselves. Guess what? Nobody's playing in Belmar anymore.
Send it to me, we'll talk.
We're all playing at Burt Willis, we're playing in Spring Lake, and Belmar's missing out, because after pickleball, we hang out, we get together, and now we're not in Belmar anymore. None of us are playing in Belmar anymore. The courts are in total disrepair. So, we really appreciate,
I think it's another grant option that we have with McCleary Park. Would any of our environmental grants be able to put toward this?
Environmental wouldn't do pickleball, you'd have to go maybe open space or something like that, but, yeah. But that being said, if you're gonna talk about McCleary, Environmental Commission is starting to put together a plan for McCleary, where we're really interested in addressing that. I think pickleball courts are a great idea, I think we should spruce those up.
it brings the whole community
Absolutely.
together. It really does. We were there every morning, Monday through Friday, unless we were there Tuesday. I didn't play at night, but they do Tuesday nights, they do Thursday nights. We're all hanging out together, we're in Belmar together.
We should have a little trolley that brings people there.
Sorry, that was not making, I swear, that was not like at your expense, it's more an ongoing joke with everyone about how
Let
to
me
have
tell you
trolleys.
something, because now that the summer's, the weather's getting better, everybody's saying, well, what are we gonna do? What do you mean we're not playing in Belmar anymore? And we can't, it's dangerous. One of the courts is taped off.
I saw. Yeah.
So, and it's a shame because the tennis courts are empty for the most part. And we would be there and we would be playing for hours. And now we can't. And it's a loss for us, but guess what? We'll find someplace to play. It's a loss for this community. It really is.
I would like to see us doing more fundraising for recreation in general so that we can address those issues. And I feel like I've learned a lot from the softball fundraising, and tapping into where the community wants those monies spent is just the best way forward.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We have someone in the back. Why don't we let this gentleman go first? You already spoke, so you'll go right after him. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Greg Michelina, 14th and Ocean. 14th and Ocean?
Yeah, we got it.
That's okay. I just want to say thank you very much to the mayor and the council for raising that flag up there, the pride flag. It's very important. Thank you very much. I guess I would have liked to see the entire council there, but I guess work and things like that. I just wanted to say one thing. Gay pride didn't come from a need to celebrate being gay, but the right to exist without persecution. So instead of wondering why there isn't a straight pride movement, be thankful that you don't need one. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I just want to respond to what you said. Lifeguards always did it, patrolled for this type of thing, because they're the ones that are there, right there. And nobody was drowning. They blow the whistle, and just like everything else, lifeguard blows the whistle on points. You don't even have to speak English to know you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. So.
That's something that the chief will have to take up with the chief lifeguard so they can work out what the right protocol is when that happens. Okay? Thank you. Any other comments? Okay.
Can I have a motion to close the public session and adjourn the meeting?
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.